Otto Skorzeny. I don't know if you know him.
Mm-mm.
He is the most decorated commando of World War II. He's the one when Tito was in an impregnable fortress prison on the top of a mountain. He's the one that we got him sprung. Flew up there with a small plane, busted him from jail, and got out with him. After the war, he was the personal bodyguard for Eva Peron of in South America there. One time he was in Egypt. Two Israelis came up to him. He says, "Are you here to kill me?" He says they have 6 Egyptian scientists that are about to make a nuclear bomb to drop on Israel. And within a week, 6 dead scientists.
No.
And Otto Skorzeny's name was off the list. I used to go get the mail, go to the post office, and if the other guy's got something, I'd drop it off. Well, anyway, I was picking up a letter for the captain. His name was Jaime Roche. And anyway, as I'm picking him up, because you look at the back to see who it's for, and I said, that looks like my grandma's handwriting. She was Germany from the old country, turn of the last century. And so I look at the writing, and it's Otto Skorzeny. I don't know if you know him.
Mm-mm.
He is the most decorated commando of World War II. He's the #1 guy of Germany. He's the one who parachuted at Normandy, turned all the roadsides backward. He's the one when Tito was in an impregnable fortress prison on the top of a mountain. He's the one that we got him sprung, went up there, flew up there with a small plane, busted him from jail, and got out with him. I can't remember all the stuff. It's in the book for sure, but a dozen things that he did, unbelievable. And after the war, he was the personal bodyguard for Eva Peron of in South America there. And one time he was in Egypt, and 2 Israelis came up to him, and of course he's on the guard because he figures, German, Nazi, all that stuff, And he says, "Are you here to kill me?" And he said, "Oh, no, we're not here to kill you. We want to hire you." And he says, "What do you want me to hire me to do?" He says they have 6 Egyptian scientists that are about to make a nuclear bomb to drop on Israel. We want you to get rid of those scientists. And apparently it was very close to being finished. He says, "Okay, what do I get out of this?" He says, "What do you want?" And remember the Nazi hunter, the Jewish guy who caught so many. Well, anyway, he says, "I want you to get my name off of his hit list, and I'll take out these scientists." They said, "Okay." And within a week, 6 dead scientists.
No.
And Otto Skorzeny's name was off the list. So, and there were so many more. I wish I could remember them. But we're in this company, usually 15 or 16 Americans in a company, and he's the captain. And he's Prussian in his attitude. You don't talk to enlisted men and all that kind of. He's very Prussian, like old time Germany, And we would have a mission or something like that, and he would call the people to attention, and they would turn to the first sergeant and said, "First sergeant, take over," and they would salute. The first sergeant would take over. The captain would go to the officers' club. Then the first sergeant would turn to me and say, "Sergeant Hansen, take over the company." And then he would salute. I would salute. He would go over to the club and sit in the same bar stool he always sat in when we weren't going to the field. And so basically, for 6 months at least, I had a company all by myself, and it was great. They were Mountaineer tribesmen, loved them. And it was a reciprocal thing too. You could just see the affection that they had as well. And we had one bad mission as a company, and we had 17 firefights, and I forget 3 days or something like that. That's a lot of fighting, 17 firefights, and we come back and. Captain goes to the officers' club, and first sergeant goes to the bar, and then I got the company. Well, anyway, I go someplace around the campus, and they find me at the operations center, and they find me, and they say, "Dale," says, "we got a mission for you." And we just got out. He says, that mission you were just on, Saigon says was so lucrative, they want you to go back in there. And so, oh man, we had 17 firefights. So on the way to the officers club to tell the captain so he can take charge, I go by the dispensary, and I asked whoever the guy is in charge. I said, we're going back in a difficult mission. I said, do you have a medic that I can take with me? And he said, yeah, so and so. So I find the captain, and he stands at attention. It's like, you're never at ease among the enlisted swine. And anyway, I said, sir, we got a mission. We're going in the same place. And I said, and I passed the dispensary, and I said, we can take a medic with us. And he looks at me, and he stands ramrod straight, and he says, Sergeant Hansen, you're messing with my war machine. It's just crazy.
Damn.
But it was interesting stuff. Just a crazy mission, difficult mission, lots of fun. And there was a place in that mission too where Vietnamization was going strong. That's years and years before your military, but Americans wanted Americans out, but we didn't want to abandon the South Vietnamese. So they had Vietnamization where gradually we would teach them, and they would take over our jobs and stuff and so forth, and then leave them at least capable of doing the missions and so forth. Well, a lot of the Vietnamization was really good. Now, there were three of us, plus the guy in the mortars, four of us with this company. And we find this huge complex. It looked like a Western fort, except they had trenches all the way around it, logs and all that stuff. And it was formidable with the fighting pits and everything. So when we found that area, my people were the ones that cleaned that out and so forth. And anyway, we the next morning, and it was a difficult time. We actually went down the hill and charged them as they were about to have their breakfast and all that stuff, and we basically wiped them out and took over their position. The captain and the first sergeant decided that they're going to go all the way around, back up the road system to the backside, and then do a push and push the people to me back at the old site. And that's fine. So I get my people, so we're all ready for the attack. And I'm confident that we can hear them when they come through, and we'll take them out. Well, anyway, now I'm hearing them come. I can hear the brush crackle and all that stuff. And there's some shooting up above, and they're coming toward me. And I know any minute now we're going to have a big firefight. So I look left and right, and I get my people, and I give them the heads up. This is going to happen. And all of a sudden, I hear shouting, and I look back beside me, and there's two Vietnamese lieutenants who I never saw before. And I how in the world did they get there? Well, it turns out we had an ammo resupply. And Vietnamization and Saigon says we have to have these two guys. So they're here and they're in my element. And I didn't even know they were there. Then all of a sudden they start yelling and shouting in the radio as loud as they can. And I know exactly what they're doing. They don't want to get in a firefight. And they want to warn off those people so they don't have to be in a firefight. I yell at them as much as you can yell, you know what I mean? Get it, their attention. And they keep yelling and ignoring me totally. And I get closer and I yell at them, shh, and they ignore me again. And so I went over there and I grabbed their radios and I threw them over the embankment. And then I went back to my position because they are so close. Within 2 minutes, we're going to have a firefight, And I look back at the sky and, I look behind because I'm not sure that they're not going to try to shoot me, So now I got to watch my back as well. And I look behind me, and I have three of my Montagnard tribesmen, each facing the Vietnamese with their rifles out.
Oh, shit.
You do not touch Hansen, It's great. But a lot of that stuff toward the end of the war.
Loyalty right there.
Yeah, no kidding.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like,
comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.